Welcome to the COMC Community Spotlight Show here on Lake TV. We've got some special guests for you this week here on the show. Actually, they are a couple of my former bosses. At 107.9 The Coyote, it's the Caldwells, it's Casey and Dan, better known as Casey and the Roundman. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. You didn't mention that we're also good friends.
Oh, we are.
Well,
That's
I mean,
true.
there is
That's
that
right.
too.
Absolutely. You just let everybody know. We do like each other. Actually, these two were like the first people I met professionally when I moved to the lake because you guys hired me to do some sports on 107.9 The Coyote.
Yeah.
That was I think about that often, actually, because I remember looking at the big man and going, this guy,
I know.
who's got, you unrolled a resume.
Yeah, right.
And I went, what are we going to do? We don't do sports. So that was kind of a cool thing.
That was fun. And at the same time, when I found out, when we were sitting in your little office talking, that you guys were Casey and the Roundman who did the show, because I didn't know that's who you guys were.
Oh, really?
And then all of a sudden I became fanboy. It's like, are you guys really Casey and the Roundman? I mean, it was it's hard to believe that's been a few years ago now, right?
Yeah, it has been. And when you talk about the show,
Yeah.
there's going back and looking at it, we did all sorts of stuff. I was telling a story this morning about how I don't think that if we would have done some of the things that we started with,
Yeah.
I don't think we could still get away with them today.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago.
Especially if we go back before that when you're doing a show down in Arkansas
Right.
and you had people on your show that who knows where you found them. I remember you sending one of them through an automatic car wash.
Well, so the days of radio have changed over
Right,
the last
yeah.
20 years, right? And you know that too,
Sure,
right? So I think that our show, when it was on, we lived it, obviously. And we could not have done, I have said this 100 times, we could not have done what we did without the audience.
Sure.
Our audience wasn't just like an audience. To us, we considered them to be, as we are here, sitting at a table.
Kind of a guest of the show, really.
Well, and
And
the
family.
show and
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what was fun to us, I think, all those years.
I think too, and if I'm wandering too much, stop me.
Go ahead.
But I think it was really special for me to broadcast in an area that's right next to an Army post. Mm-hmm. We'd never done that before.
Yeah.
Right.
And the love affair that we had with the soldiers while we were broadcasting is something that I will always cherish. It was special.
It was cool.
So their signal on 107.9 The Coyote is not just at the lake, but it covers pretty much all of central Missouri, going toward the military base. Rolla goes all the way out toward Rolla, Lebanon. That whole area is a part of your where people could hear you. So you were broadcasting over a big range, a big area.
Yeah, so it's 13 counties,
Yeah.
and we like to say Marshfield up to Rolla, and then over a little bit to Warsaw. Of course, the entire lake area in Lebanon, and Fort Leonard Wood is in there, and then the towns in between, Dixon's, Richlands, that
Yeah.
sort. But so you had that audience was so vastly, and still is so vastly diverse.
Yeah.
That we wanted to try to incorporate everything that we could in as few hours a day as we could do it.
Right. So if you guys didn't see or didn't listen to the Casey and the Roundman show, most people did. Most people know who you guys are, even if they are now just seeing your faces for the first time, right? I think, though, most people know what you look like because you had so many events out in the community. You were there and your fans came out. You guys did it was like an anniversary party a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last year.
And we missed you, by the way.
Well, I tried to go, but I couldn't even get in.
He couldn't get in.
Yeah.
You sent me a message.
I did.
And it was like, I'm not, the line's around the corner. So we did a 20th anniversary kind of a pop-up party where it was a golden ticket deal, and it was very special.
It was huge.
It blew my mind, honestly.
That has to be pretty cool when you have that many fans coming out, and this was after you guys had stopped doing your show.
Right.
Yeah, it was a couple years after, actually.
And they were still coming out. Okay, so the Casey and the Roundman show, I mean, you became known as the Roundman. You're not Dan, you're Rounder. I mean, people call him Rounder, right?
So-
Even you called him Rounder.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Well, there's a reason for that.
Okay.
So we started in 2003. And when we got on the air, the way that we spoke to each other was like buddies, and sometimes we would push each other.
Yeah.
You know, or poke the bear, or whatever you want to call it. And in fact, it was a huge secret, and we kept it pretty well for 17 years.
That it was father-son
And it was
thing.
father-son.
Really?
Yeah. So
I didn't realize you guys kept that a secret.
yeah, so we never broadcast. In fact, the only time we ever broadcasted that was our very last show. And it was we started that way, I think. Yeah. We kept, so for 17 years, we attempted to keep it a secret, and I don't know, I feel like
I think
we did
you did
okay.
a pretty good job of it.
I mean, we didn't speak to each other the way most father and sons talk to each other.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, if they knew, would have said, you know, that was a little disrespectful.
Right. How can you talk to your dad like that, right?
Well, and we had made that conscious decision.
Yeah.
So when we were on the air or doing business or in public, I would not go, "Yo, Dad." I would say, "Biggin" or Rounder or whatever.
Right.
And
But not Dad.
I trained myself. We trained each other to do that.
How cool is that? All right, so it's Casey and the Roundman, the Caldwells from 107.9 The Coyote, talking about the great Casey and the Roundman show, which isn't anymore. It went away, but people are still talking about it. So we'll have more about that when we come back here on the COMC Community Spotlight Show. Central Ozarks Medical Center, voted Missouri's best and best at the lake, is recruiting team members due to growth. Amazing employment opportunities for both medical and non-medical positions with competitive salaries and outstanding perks. For more information, go to the Careers tab at centralozarks.org. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Join a leader. Join our team. COMC, where your health is our mission. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. I'm getting to talk to a couple of my good friends from over the years. It is Casey and Dan Caldwell, better known as Casey and the Roundman. They used to do a huge radio show. I used to, when I would come to the lake from Dallas, just, for a week or a weekend, I'd listen to your show, and I thought it was a syndicated show because it was so good. I was sure that it had to be done in a big city, and your radio station was just picking the show up.
It's interesting you would say that. We got offered to do syndication a couple of different times, and we talked about it.
Yeah.
But we felt like we would lose our local flair
Yeah.
if we tried to be all things to everybody in the country. And you don't get into the radio business to make a fortune.
No, but you turned down a fortune because there's money in
Yes,
that.
there's big money in that.
There was, yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
And KC was offered, before the KC and Roundman went on the air, he was offered jobs all over the country.
In LA.
Yeah.
And Chicago, but
So you decide to come do a show at the lake.
well, okay, so yes, yeah. I mean, the timing was, life is about timing.
Yep.
And the timing was right for all of us. And in this area, I mean, when you think about it, we live where people vacation.
Yeah.
And this is the greatest place on earth.
Yeah.
And we have traveled all over the country. we have lived everywhere. And I'm telling you that this central Missouri area, not just the lake, not Lebanon, not Fort Leonard Wood, not Rolla, everything combined together is truly the greatest place on earth.
I think that I 100% believe that, especially in the craziness of the world today. I don't know if it always has been that way, but it certainly is that way now.
I think it's where the kind hearts and gentle, the gentle people live. I really believe that if somebody asks you how you are, they really want to know how you are.
Yeah.
They're not just saying that as a passerby.
Yeah, just not shining you on.
Yeah.
When we were doing the show, and we would go out and do events, and that we genuinely also wanted to hear back from the audience.
Yeah.
So when we would say, well, what'd you guys think about blank? Or a lot of times we wouldn't have to. I mean, the audience was very vocal. Would go, boy, you guys, what the heck? And that also gave us the opportunity to connect on a local level, whereas you were talking about for syndication or something like that.
You couldn't do that.
No.
And we were able to make little teeny tiny adjustments and pivot in order to stay on the air for 17 years.
Yeah.
Chris, you worked with us for quite a long while. You know, we hired a service to do comedy for us, but we would take each of those and massage them to work
To fit your show.
that fit this part
To
of the
fit
world.
the part of the world, yeah. This the audience.
And your personalities, too. Yeah.
You mean crazy? No.
That's another part of it that's interesting to me. I mean, not only that you kept the father-son thing a secret, but was one of you specifically the straight man and the other one the comic? Did you pass that back and forth? How did that work? Because there was a dynamic there, but I'm not sure how that worked.
I'm not sure how that worked either.
I don't know. The Casey and the Roundman show started in 1984. When Casey was 4 years old, he would ride in his car seat in the back seat, and I would be driving. And we started doing these jokes back and forth and talking to each other. So doing the broadcast of Casey and the Roundman show was pretty simple for us.
Kind of just a continuation of that.
I mean,
do you remember that?
I mean, not that particular moment, but I have a terrible memory. But I will say that's absolutely right. When you say, well, yeah, that's a great question. I go, oh God, I need to think about that. But I think that's just because we're jokesters. Like at family gatherings growing up, and the things that we would say and do, and a little bit of a twisted humor.
Oh, and when we had your sister, especially.
Yeah.
Very twisted.
My sister is also, that's the thing. I have a sister that it did not go into broadcast.
Right.
But growing up, it was the family dynamic, I think, was easily transferred, as you said.
Yeah.
From joking in the living room to just putting a microphone on, still trying to be in the living room.
You know who you guys remind me of, and this is going to drive you crazy. You remind me of the Bee Gees.
It does drive me a little crazy.
Because they're rock and roll people. But see, the Bee Gees, separately, none of them would have been as great as they were when they all came together. I'm not sure you guys would have been as great without the other one to kind of, fit with. And you didn't even have to work at it.
I think he would have.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I believe that you're correct.
Because you're hilarious. I mean, in your own way. I've taken some comedy stuff from you, just in the way you do it, your personality and stuff. And I think it's just natural.
Thank you.
Right?
That's very kind.
Yeah. But you kind of needed the both of you together.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The ability to play off of another person, especially when you're talking about broadcast or radio, is first of all, you have to have eye contact.
Yeah.
And you have to know mannerisms. The cool part about us is we didn't have to learn that.
You already knew that.
We already had it.
Yeah. But also that was harder for the people you hired to replace you. You had to give them grace and time to figure out where you guys didn't even need that grace and time. So.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that Crystal, who does the morning show now, is, first of all, an angel.
Yeah.
And is exactly what you hear is what you get.
She's great.
That is who she is.
Yeah.
So that's the person or personality that we were looking for to be able to take those spots and fill them after we vacated the air.
Okay, so we're out of time. Real quickly, if people want information on 107.9 The Coyote, how do they get that?
So we do almost everything quickly on our Facebook page.
Right.
That's the fastest way to do it, and it's just /1079 The Coyote. You can go to 1079thecoyote.com. You can call the numbers, and you can literally walk in my front door and talk to the owner at any time you want.
Okay. And you're on the square in Camdenton. So walk in that front door right there.
Okay, so it's locked. So you really can't walk in?
I knew it. Okay, so that is your COMC Community Spotlight Show. We'll do more shows with Casey and the Roundman because there's so much good stuff here. But thank you for joining us this week on the Community Spotlight Show.